Every 3 years, the best sailors on the planet compete in the world's toughest offshore challenge, the Volvo Ocean Race.
1, 2, go!
Tense.
For the 12th edition, 7 teams left Alicante, Spain, to cross 4 oceans and 5 continents over 9 months. It is the ultimate endurance test that all professional sailors dream of doing.
It's just relentless.
With a fleet solely composed of the Volvo Ocean 65, a boat designed to take on the most grueling offshore race. Crews are pushed to the limit in a competition that has never been closer. Battling 24/7, fighting storms, and defying the worst that Mother Nature can throw at them.
You get a beating out there.
Pushing the crews to a place where there is only a thin margin between winning the leg.
Fantastic, we're on top of the world. So proud of my team.
First win. Nice, very nice.
Or losing it all.
Holy shit, I can't believe this. I can't actually believe this happened.
This is their story. The fleet is currently sailing leg 4 of the Volvo Ocean Race, which takes them from Sanya in China to their final destination of Auckland, New Zealand. The opening days of the leg have been the toughest of the race so far. With the crews suffering the physical and mental effects of rough sailing in the South China Sea.
For me, it's a little bit tough. I'm feeling dizzy. My head is moving around. Only 1 day more to go. And then hopefully a little bit of reaching. Will be a lot more water on deck, but less strange movement.
After 4 hours here, go back to your warm bunk. And if there's some food, get some warm food as well.
In 25 minutes, I will be in my bunk, inside the sleeping bag, with the pillow in my head. If I could, I will stay in the bank for 3 days. And then when it gets quiet, I jump out. But the bank is awesome. The sleeping bag is like, how to say, you know, a teddy bear? It's something that is taking you like this, and it doesn't want you to go away.
I'm going to sleep, yes? You're jealous? Poquito.
It may not be the most talked about subject on board, but most sailors suffer from seasickness.
When the sea state is bad, I'm usually getting sick quite fast. For me, it's just a nightmare to be seasick, like, because you can't really do your job properly, and it's taking out a lot of energy of yourself, and you actually can't really eat, or you can't keep the food in yourself, so you have to keep trying to eat until the weather or the sea state calms down, and then you feel better.
For the sailors, it's tough being on deck in such difficult conditions. But when the weather improves and the wind changes, it's a different story.
You know what? I prefer life outside. Now it's warm. The water is warm. The speed is good. The waves are nice. So it's like extremely nice sailing. Inside, it's hot. It's moist. It's like Turkish sauna or something, you know?
On deck it's fun, but downstairs it's always horrible, these conditions, because you have to hold on and lots of noise. There's lots of water on the deck, you can see everything is moving, difficult to sleep. Just one of these days.
Moving, noisy, we have to hold on ourselves very good, because if we hit a wave hard, you can fall down and get injured. So it's always very important to hold down or stay low and distance.
But the only good thing still is it's warm. In the next leg it will be really cold down here. It rains downstairs from condensation, then it will be really because what I'm doing here.
On board Team Alvi Medica, the heat below deck makes sleeping difficult.
You get about 2.5 to 3 hours sleep in increments, and it's a challenge mainly at the moment is the movement of the boat and the heat really. So I've got my fan going here, and yeah, I find it pretty easy to pass out when I want to.
I just woke up from a 4-hour off wash. I was probably in my bunk for 2.5 hours. It's pretty hard to get good sleep just with all the noise, easing the winches and bouncing around off the waves. But I think you get to a certain point where you get so tired you sleep through it all. So hopefully tonight I'll get a little bit better sleep. It's also hard during the day. It's really hot down below, so I usually get a little bit better sleep at night.
Away from the tough environment at sea, boatyard manager Nick Bice is settling into his new home.
I've been home now for 24 hours, still trying to find my feet, to tell you the honest truth. Which glass goes in which drawer, where the plates are kept now, because it is a little bit different to when I first set up. But the first job was getting the barbecue together and getting the sound system and TV set up. It's awesome to come home and just be able to walk in and just know everything's there.
For Nick, keeping fit is a vital part of his everyday routine.
It's actually a pretty good way to clear the head, pretty good way to refocus on a lot of things. And that's actually what we do and promote heavily within the boatyard, that the guys get out and do a bit of fitness in the mornings. And it's just a great way to start the day, and you just find that guys who actually do it, and girls, are much more focused throughout the day and a lot more efficient.
Even when he's at home, Nick's thoughts are never far away from how the boats are coping with the demands of the race.
From what we've just seen in the days straight after the start of the race, could possibly be the harshest conditions that the boats were going to see. It wasn't overly windy, might have been 30 knots, 35 maximum, but it was going upwind into a tide against wind situation, which creates pretty big waves. I haven't seen the data in the last few days of the boats, but I'd imagine they would have been seeing waves of 10 to 12 metres, which is harsh in anyone's terms. The Volvo Open 70 might have been a bit on the edge, and you would have definitely been backing the boats off in those conditions. I don't think the guys out there now would have been backing the boats off at all. I've seen the position reports and they've been extremely close the whole way through, so I don't think anyone has taken the foot off the pedal. And the One Design, I think, has been an absolute success. We always spoke about this race as about being the human edition, and that's what we're seeing. The boats are reliable. The One Design class is so tight that it does purely come down to the people sailing them. And that's something that the fans, something that everyone on shore, whether you're a sailor or not, can really relate to.
From what he's seen so far, Nick is pleased that the Volvo Ocean 65 is holding up so well.
Combined now, the boats have done a couple 100,000 miles, and we haven't seen anything exceeding what we maybe would have seen on one Volvo Open 70 in the first leg to Cape Town. So I'm very confident in the boats. Given the last couple of days in the South China Sea, that would be where I would have been the most nervous. That's probably where we've seen the most breakages in the history of the race since it has been going through that area. So that's a huge tick in the reliability box for the Volvo Ocean 65. I mean, we're going to see issues. There's going to be an issue at some stage. There's going to be some sort of a failure, and we'd be stupid to think that that was not going to happen. It's still the Volvo Ocean race, still life at the extreme. It's still Mother Nature. Anything can happen.
Nick's prediction comes true, as some of the boats have to repair damaged parts on board.
Well, today we were sailing with the J1 on the outrigger, and suddenly the fitting wheel fits on the deck, rip out and fly away, make a hole on the cockpit side. Up there. So, well, we have a bit of a stress moment, but we fixed the problem quite good. So we take the plate, the fitting plate from the other side, and we made the chip plate and some bolts. We put in the same position with the through holes, and well, we spent 5 hours to fix it. But luckily we don't lose so much miles with the leading guy, which is Abu Dhabi, and we're still second on the race. So we are happy, and we are back on the race 100%.
Dongfeng race team have the added difficulty of having to do their repairs at night.
Is broken, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we have to go to get the down. We got the spare part. We put the spare part on the Allianz.
In the mall.
Why?
Because I have a stack here.
Everything?
Yeah, same stack, yes.
We broke the G1 locking system, and one of the parts of the locking system of the G1 Alliard. And it seems that the G1 Alliard is inside the mast, so we cannot get the Alliard back to use it.
Now we change from J1 to J2. For sure it will slow down both. But I hope we still can keep the cruise position.
Come on! Wolf! Yes! Go for sail tail. Yes! Help for us to put sail tail. Yeah.
With wind gusting and the waves hitting the deck constantly, the crew has to be twice as careful when dealing with a setback. Skipper Charles knows that even a minor delay can cost you miles and places in this closest of races. The fleet has split into two, with Team SCA and Team Brunel heading further north in search of stronger winds. The goal for all the boats is to get as far east as possible before turning south towards New Zealand.
Check our heading.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, New Zealand's that way and we're going this way. It's all good.
Of course, New Zealand is southeasterly, but the winds, basically trade winds, it's all from a derivative of the east, northeast, southeast, east. So basically it's very hard to get east. So if you can get east cheaply, if you can get east fast, then it improves your angle for the rest of the leg. So any opportunity to have a wind, like a northerly wind or a southerly wind, that enables you to reach to the east. So what Brunel and SCA have done is they've invested a lot of miles, they're nearly 200 miles behind, to get north. And in so doing so, they're going to pick up the northerly wind first. So the question is, can they basically use that to get east over the top of us before we all start to turn right towards New Zealand?
For Brunel, their bold move in search of more wind looks to be paying off.
Super dangerous, because it looks like it's just the water, but the water is so powerful that it smashes you and you fly over the deck, so you always have to be clipped on. Wear your harness and, you know, wear it in the right way, clip onto the right places, because you just can slide all over the place. Well, if I go in front, the guys who was helming is trying not to catch the big waves and not to press the boat too hard, giving me a little bit more space to move.
A little bit wet, but very fast. 20 knots. This is what we want. Hopefully it's like this all the way to Auckland.
Meanwhile, back on Abu Dhabi, conditions are much calmer, and Simon Sci-Fi Fisher takes full advantage with some much-needed refueling.
Making up for lost time, yeah. The first 2 days I had an apple, an orange and a bit of beef jerky. The today I've had about 3/4 of pasta, chicken curry. Oh, heartburn.
Back on land in Spain, one person has a special interest in two teams competing in the Volvo Ocean Race.
I'm Maria Bertran. We do part of the logistics for Maverick, the Spanish team in the Volvo. And it also happens that I'm the wife of Simon Fisher, who is the navigator in Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. This is actually my fourth race. My first one was in 2005. After that, the race in 2008, it was when I started actually being the logistics manager, and that includes a lot of stuff from sorting out flights and accommodation for the whole team, shore crew, media team, sailing team, families, events, immigration, customs. It is a lot of work, especially now that we have a baby.
Alexander is just 15 months old and already a seasoned traveller.
He's started traveling since he was 2 months old, so he just sort of assumes that that's life, and that he sees daddy 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, or 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Papa? Esto es Papa? Yeah, he's got this thing where whenever I showed him photos, it was always Papa or Daddy, and then it turned out that I think he thinks that the photos are called Papa, because he sees any photo and it's Papa.
Having a baby makes it even harder than ever to say goodbye.
This is the first race I've seen Sci-Fi that sad at the departures, because, well, he can send me emails or call every once in a while if he needs, but Alexander doesn't talk yet, he doesn't write either, so he's missing a lot of his first things. He missed his first birthday, his first steps.
Ah, cocodrilo. ¿Qué hace?
He's really struggling with that part, but then at the same time he knows he's doing what he loves. A lot of other parents, they've got other jobs and they don't get to see their kids that much, so he knows he's doing what he likes, and he tries to make the most of his time with Alexander than when he's on shore.
¿Qué hace el mono?
When the boats leave, I keep working to make sure all the other stopovers are ready. Then we agreed that when Sci-Fi arrives and he has 3-4 days off, that I could take at least 2 or 3 days off with him, so that we can have it as a bit of a small family.
Maria and Sci-Fi first met in 2005, when Sci-Fi was navigator on board ABN AMRO 2, and Mariah worked on the shore crew of the Movie Star boat, skippered by Bao Becking. Sci-Fi's boat came to the rescue of Bao and his crew after they were forced to abandon ship.
Should we cut the line and we come up to the life raft and then send a throwing line back to your boat?
Sci-Fi and his teammates experienced real tragedy earlier in the leg, when Dutch sailor Hans Horowitz died after being washed overboard.
It was such a hard experience that it actually got everyone closer together, and Sci-Fi is still really, really close with all those guys. There's Johnny Pullman on Brunel and Nick Bice, who's running the boatyard, and it actually I think it put us closer together as well. Now that we have a baby, we do think a lot about that race in 2005 and, well, what happened to our team and Sci-Fi's boat as well. It's something you keep thinking about it, and every May you think about it. It's something you're not going to forget, especially now being a mum. But I know he's careful, but you do always tell him before he leaves. It's the whole thing of hang on, put your harness, be careful. And it always comes with, now you have a baby to look after, so you have to be extra careful. But you do have an extra worry. I was getting used to the whole thing of him sailing, but now with the baby, you do suffer a bit more.
¿Qué es esto? Un león. ¿Qué hace el león?
Meanwhile, Team Vestas Wind's journey to get back in the race continues. After hitting the reef in the Indian Ocean during leg 2, the boat was recovered and put on a cargo ship heading for Malaysia. Vestas shore manager Neil Cox is waiting in Kuala Lumpur for the ship to arrive.
We just need to go through how we're going to get the boat off the ship, how we're going to move it down the terminal here, where we're going to keep it, and then there's the reverse process when we get on the next ship to head off to Italy. You have from the bow here and then stern here on the deck. If the sling was here, the boat would just go and the sling would rip up through the deck. We still need to protect the boat because where we're sending it back, we're going to repair it. So we need to be very careful of everything that's on there that we don't make it worse. We're hoping to pick the, well, when we were picking the boat up in St Brandon, obviously the perfect place to have this sling was going to be on the aft keel bulkhead here. Obviously, a good percentage of the aft keel bulkhead and hull is missing. To counteract that, we've had to fill the bow with about 3 tonne of water, slide the sling forward, and that's basically shifted the longitudinal centre of gravity. So it was the only place we could really get a full webbing sling around the boat.
The boat is then carefully prepped and ready to be transported to Italy, where the repair will start.
To be quite honest, I think it's gone exceptionally well. I mean, everything we've come here to do, we've actually achieved. I mean, the help we've been given by everybody here has just been incredible. We've had the guys come out from Persico, we've had the guys come from QI to do all the NDT testing. Everything we want to achieve, we have. Basically, we're at a point now where we really just need to get the boat to Italy and get it into the yard and start, really figuring out how we're going to get the boat back together.
Back on the water, Abu Dhabi is still leading, but skipper Ian knows they might not be in front for long.
We're leading the pack, about 10 miles in front of Dongfang, about 15 miles in front of Alpha-Medica and Maverick. We're going pretty well. And then the breakaway 2 in the north, Brunel and SCA, basically now have got the hammer down and they're going to start to use their leverage to get over the top of us.
Brunel's earlier decision to take a different route now pays off, as they pass most of the fleet to become the new leg leaders. Now, they have to stay in front.
How to defend the lead in 3 steps. Keep going the right way, first of all, then stay in between the finish and your competitors, and keep sailing fast.
It's not a reckless gamble, it's a positive gamble. High odds of success.
You know, there's less breeze when we go to sail into. You can see it already the last 24 hours. They've been making substantial gains behind us, so I think they have to come within a couple of miles of us till we're in the same water, so it will be just coming all together again. We believe in what we see, and up to now all the big moves have paid off.
But for the other member of the breakaway pack, Team SCA, the news is not so good.
Unfortunately, it's another disappointing sked. We're still slower than most of the fleet, other than Brunel. And we're still 50 miles to windward of the fleet, and we were hoping that gauge would, give us some extra wind and give us a better angle to get over the fleet, but it just hasn't been happening for us for the last few days. And it's pretty frustrating. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing and hoping that eventually we will get the breeze and they'll fall out of it, but at the moment it's not working out how we planned.
But with over half the legs still to sail, there's still time for things to change. Next week, with leg 5 and the Southern Ocean looming ahead, the teams are looking into their wet weather gear. And Team Brunel is not happy with their gamble.
I'd be lying if we weren't disappointed.